היי,
בוקר
שלום.
טוב, חג חמישי שמח.
חג שמח, שלום.
אז היום זה דאבל חג, זה גם חנוכה, נר החם, וגם נר שמיני וגם חג חמישי. אז כאילו אנחנו מרוויחים שני חגים. וסוף שבוע, מן הסתם. טוב, מני, אני רואה שהשידור, הלייב אמור לעלות בקבוצה עצמה, נכון?
הלייב עולה באירוע, ואנחנו נעשה מסיבת צפייה עוד רגע. אתה יכול אולי בינתיים להתחיל להציג את עומר?
טוב, עומר...
רק להגיד שהשידור הזה יתקיים באנגלית, ורובו, אנחנו חלק ממנו את ההתחלה נעשה בעברית.
כן.
אז אני בעצם מציג את עומר רייס, הוא ה-CTO של יוסט, אנחנו נדבר איתו היום גם על השינויים החדשים שיש מבחינת גוגל, וגם מבחינת איך יוסט עכשיו בגרסה החדשה משתלבת עם אלמנטור, ואיך בעצם מן הסתם סוף סוף אנחנו הולכים לעבוד עם שפת הקודש ויוסט. עומר, the stage is yours.
תודה רבה. בהתחלה אני מדבר קצת עברית, אני מסביר לכם למה אני מדבר עברית, כי אבא שלי הוא ישראלי וגם גר בארץ, אז אני חצי ישראלי, אמא שלי מהולנד, אני נולדתי בהולנד וגדלתי בהולנד, אבל זה הסיבה שאני כן מדבר עברית, אבל אני לא מרגיש כל כך חופשי לדבר על דברים טכניים, אז עכשיו אני הולך לאנגלית, and we'll do the rest of the webinar in English, but I can understand most of what you're saying. So,
if you want once in a while to drop a Hebrew word or sentence, feel free.
By the way, the few first seconds were missed out from the live because we're doing live both on the YouTube channel of the community and in the group. So I had to approve something in the group to start it. So now it works. So we're okay.
Do the introduction again, or it's okay?
No. It's fine. They heard from the seconds Omar started to talk. It was already live.
It's the most important.
Cool. Awesome.
Google is a very complicated scene.
Yeah,
people make a lot of efforts to be the first on Google on terms that they're like want to be to show their real working skills and stuff like that. They have to be found, and in order to be found, they have to work their SEO. And Google changes all the time. That we know that they lately did some major change. I heard. Your yesterday's lives, Yoast made a live with guests.
The SEO webinar.
Yeah. So we'll be happy if you have say something about your vision, how you work with Google, how you manage to.
Yeah, let me tell you about the relationship between Yoast and Google, which has been like a really good relationship for a couple of years now. In the end, like the first thing to say about any search engine is that yes, the algorithm is powerful and it is very impactful. It can, if it changes, it can really hurt websites sometimes. But in general, a search engine is a search engine, and what they want to do is they want to make sure that the best result is served to the user. And this is somewhat also of a science. So basically, what evolves is the user experience. So in the past, we used to have like 10 blue links. Now we have a lot of sort of smart knowledge graphs and rich snippets that give you more interactive and rich results. But in general, Google have always wanted to do one thing, and that is to give the best result to their users. And we are in touch with a couple of teams from Google, their open source team, their WordPress team, their Search Console teams.
They actually have a separate team for WordPress?
They have a separate team for WordPress. Like they have a special investment in the WordPress community, really? Where they actually have people working also on WordPress core, and they have people working on WordPress plugins to basically, give the example of what Google thinks that is important for the web. So you have the Google AMP plugin for WordPress. You have the Google Web Stories plugin for WordPress. You have the Progressive Web App initiative by Google for WordPress. So they are doing a lot of stuff that they want to improve WordPress in a way that they think is good for the web, and of course also good for Google, but these things are very close together.
This is why I said all the time that Google loves WordPress a lot. Besides all the post structures, and every time there is a new post, WordPress inform Google, come check the website. This is why I'm saying all the time that this is one of the platforms that are very good to work with Google.
Yeah, one of the big reasons is also actually Yoast.
Yeah.
There's first of all some basic SEO capabilities in WordPress core that we put in as Yoast, and we also even work together with Google to get a basic XML sitemap in WordPress core. So part of the reason that WordPress is a good system for SEO is because we're also constantly helping improve the system, and also because basically most of the WordPress sites run the Yoast SEO plugin. And one example is traditionally Google has always recognized, for instance, the Yoast SEO XML sitemap, and they know that they can trust it. So they know that the links that are on there, they give a good representation of what is on the site. So that is there's a lot of trust factors that make WordPress a reliable system for Google.
Okay. Well, right now
we have a question. I'll put it on the screen. Joseph Zilberberg is asking, how do you know to adapt your to update the Yoast updates to Google changes? You actually just answer that.
Yeah, so I can. So where are we guys learning? Where are we learning what to do? Well, basically, there's lots of ways we do that. Like in the past, especially, we did a lot of reverse engineering. Actually, Yoast, I think one of the things that makes us unique is that we are a company founded and built by SEOs. Joost de Valk himself, John O'Elderson, a couple of other people are really experienced SEOs who've done big SEO projects for The Guardian and Disney, and I think eBay, even for Facebook. So we've got a lot of experience running SEO experiments, very much involved in the SEO community, and constantly keeping updated about the Google algorithm. On the other side, we are also actually working together with Google on new web standards to improve the web, especially in the field of structured data. So generally, like we were part of an experiment, for instance, in testing the FAQ schema. So basically, we do some reverse engineering. We are very much in the loop with the SEO community in analysis of what's going on. And we are also actually part of the group of people who help create the new standards that are later used by Google, for instance, to give rich snippets and rich results in the search results.
So from what I'm hearing from you, even if a person doesn't have the last updates of the changes by Google, the main focus should be good content.
That's always been our story. Like you have to be the best result. So we like using Yoast is we've always tried to create a plugin for everyone, not just technical people, not just SEOs, to help them create the best content, to help them create the best website. And if you want to do all kinds of tricks and try to fool Google or trick Google, then Yoast is not the tool for you. But we strongly believe that if you have a strong content strategy, you have good content, you make sure you are an authority on a certain subject, then that will be the most sustainable approach towards ranking.
It's a good start for going to the next subject, the capabilities of Yoast in Hebrew. We in Israel, in the past,
congratulations, by the way.
Congratulations for that. We in Israel didn't use the premium program because a lot of it didn't go along with Hebrew, like in dictation, in לשון, איך קוראים לזה? verbs and
yeah, exactly. The key phrases.
So it will be it will be very good. Yeah, it will be very good. It will be very good for us if you give like a little bit of scope. What is the advantage of using the premium for who does it fit for? Yeah.
So generally, like there's two things that with regards to content, there are two things that our plugin does really well. We have two things. We have a readability analysis, which helps you write more readable content. For instance, if you use a lot of passive voice, or if you use enough transition words, it will impact the readability. For instance, when I say because at the beginning of a sentence, you know that now there's going to be a reason. So it's like a word that helps you understand as a reader that a reason is coming. So this is what we call a transition word. If you use enough of them in the text become more readable. So we analyze all this stuff in the readability analysis, and then we also analyze in our SEO analysis if your text is optimized for a certain key phrase, milot mafteach.
But all of that happens also in the free plugin, right?
Yeah, so the major thing about premium is that we have like a much better recognition of the key phrase. So what we now can do is we can for instance in premium we can, when you want to rank for a word like kelev or something, I don't know, we can recognize kelev and klavim.
Nice.
Okay, yachid verabim.
Yeah, yachid verabim, and exactly. And we can also recognize different tenses of verbs, for instance, like רוצה, רציתי, the different verbs, and that makes it much more natural. So we basically have a really good analysis built by linguists who analyze the Hebrew and work together also with the Hebrew speakers, native speakers, to create an analysis that recognizes the natural language. So not just the literal usage of the keyword, but you can actually write a natural text that will still rank for the key phrase.
And by that you have abilities like URL building inside the site, right?
Yeah, so in premium there are much more advantages.
I think the Israeli audience are not fully like know what's available. So if you can highlight.
Yeah, definitely. So just with regard to the SEO analysis, we have the word form recognition, we have synonym recognition, we have we allow you to use try to rank for multiple key phrases, so you can sort of put related.
Are there already Israeli websites that you're aware of that already use the Hebrew version?
I know that the Elementor is using it. So so they are using it themselves. I think they are coming out with a guide on SEO in general, cool. With Elementor, and but I know that it's used in Israel. We actually have quite some Israeli customers.
No, sure.
But I don't know the.
We Israelis like to work with abroad, so we work also in English.
yeah, I know. There's a lot of. Well, we did an analysis of language use, because of course Hebrew is not the biggest language in the world. This is also a little bit the reason why it took some time. But when you look at the percentage of how much of people use the language, and then you look at how much of the web is in the language, then you see that Israelis have a bigger portion of the web content than they have a portion of speakers. So it means it's used a lot. Like when you look at other languages, you see that the percentage of how much it's used on the web is lower than the amount of people that speak it. But in Hebrew, it's like 3 times higher. So that means it's actually used a lot. There's a lot of sites in Hebrew. There's a lot of content in Hebrew. So it was valuable for us to invest a little bit in Hebrew and make sure there's a good product available for Hebrew language recognition. So this is the reason why we invested. And now, so in premium, there's a lot of features, but one big one is also our internal linking suggestions, and these now work really well as well.
So now it's going to work better in Hebrew articles.
Exactly. So if you have a Hebrew site, you're writing your content, and you should put links to other pages on your site. Mm-hmm. Now in the new version, it will be the quality of the links suggested by Yoast SEO Premium. It will be much higher. It will be really helpful to create links within your site.
Okay, sounds cool.
Yeah.
And now, what you're thinking about the integration besides the comfortable not to go back and forth from Elementor to WordPress dashboard, fix whatever you need to fix, and go back to the Elementor editor.
Yeah, so we're really happy that it's really cool to be on this show, because you are both Israeli show and you're also an Elementor show.
Yeah,
we did a lot of, like, I'm in the exact right place right now. But so we're really happy that we finally have an Elementor integration. It took a little bit too long maybe to build it. Because we had a couple of really big projects that we needed to finish before, but now we have it, and we expect to really extend it further, and also create maybe some features specific to Elementor Pro that will help you also in the full site editing, basically in the theme editor and in the way you structure your site. This is all stuff that is much harder to do right now in WordPress. In the future, it will be easier, but basically the advantage that Elementor has, there are also some SEO aspects to that, and we will look at maybe specific integrations also for that. Okay. But just having now our full integration on the site, it's already it's a huge win.
Yes, it's much comfortable to work like this. Like you edit the website in Elementor, you edit the content in Elementor, not the client. And you have all the Yoast panel inside, so it's much comfortable to work in this way.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also an opportunity to create some Elementor elements. I don't know if you know, but we have in the block editor in WordPress, we have some blocks like an FAQ block and
oh, really?
And how-to block, and we could create it also for Elementor.
Is that in the premium plugin or on
the FAQ block and the how-to block are in free? The related links block that we have uses the internal linking suggestions engine to create sort of related links below your post or in a sidebar. That is in premium. We also have siblings and subpages blocks for pages. That is also in premium. And we have a table of contents block, a really good one, that is also in premium. So these things are available in Gutenberg, and we're thinking about porting them also to Elementor elements. We are strong believers that things like structured data and schema are very abstract. It's very complex to do. So you have to be a little bit technical or a little bit of an SEO to understand why am I doing this. So what we want is when you write an how-to article, that you just write the content, you create the content, and the structured data is automatically generated from it. And because there's no reason why a user should be confronted with that stuff. So it takes a little bit more time and it's a little bit harder to do, but when you have it, it's really nice because you get just a nice Elementor element, and you get the schema, the structured data for free, which will help you rank in Google.
It brings the next question, the Israeli chutzpah. Omar, being one of us, how can we bring you to take a website the first place on Google?
Well, I really love Israeli food. Especially, I'm a big fan of Mizrahi food. So
just tell me when you come to Israel, I will make you the best dish.
If you can make me a café shachor with Hawaii, then
café shachor with Hawaii. My wife is Yemen.
You see my glass over here.
I can make you homemade hummus, pita bread, everything.
No, I will love all that. Maybe I can find some time to help you look at your website. No, but in the end, to be honest, we have a saying in the SEO world. It's not by us, but we use it a lot. That SEO means seriously effortful optimization. So ranking in Google, it's just a matter of continuous maintenance. So if you do it every week, like if you make sure your bicycle is oiled every week,
oiling,
it's taken to the shop maybe once a year, then it's not going to be a lot of work, it's not going to be a lot of money, but you have to continuously invest to keep it good. This is the same with websites. You need to make sure your links are good. You need to make sure your fors are solved. With Yoast SEO Premium, it's much easier because we do automatic redirects when you remove a page, for instance. And that kind of also shows you the advantage of Premium. Premium really saves you a lot of effort and a lot of time of things that you can do if you work, but this is the main advantage of Premium. This kind of effort where you have to redirect the page when it's no longer there, or when you change the slug or whatever, that's all automatic in Yoast SEO Premium. But you need to do that work.
Don't forget that if we don't have a Premium, we need to install another plugin for the redirection for the 301. So what you say, it's built inside the Premium. So it's I want to pay or I want to install another plugin. And in Hebrew we have a sentence that say lots of plugin, lots of troubles, lots of worries.
It's true. And it's also less integrated because, it's really nice to have a redirect manager. But this is not the main problem. This is not what is so premium about it. No, what is premium is that we automatically detect when a page is removed, and we automatically redirect it for you. And this is of course where the power comes. So and this kind of stuff works really nicely. So and also a lot of plugins give a lot of trouble. It's definitely true. If you have a lot of plugins, especially when you like, I've seen sites that have 50 plus or maybe even these become really slow because there's just a ton of code always running on the background, and often there is small teams that are maintaining those. So yeah, generally I think it's better to just use Yoast SEO Premium than have an extra plugin for that, and also the integration is much better.
Cool.
Are there any more questions? יש לכם חבר'ה שאלות בקבוצה, בקהילה? מישהו רוצה לשאול משהו?
אפשר גם לדבר על אוכל ישראלי עוד קצת.
בינתיים אז נעבור לאוכל ישראלי. What is your most favorite Israeli dish?
אני חושב שפשוט חומוס. חומוס טרי, זה ממש...
עליי, I know how to make the best hummus. I inspect every ingredients and
you can share screen. Gabriel is making hummus.
Let me test it 1 second. Here. And cool. where can it's gonna share the screen or
sorry. Not sure, never mind it.
But you make a great hummus.
לך ל-Love and Adventure למתכונים, זה יראה שם.
You want me to share it?
Yeah, it's okay. I can tell you that the first one was a disaster.
It's a WordPress, it's an Elementor site.
Really?
Gabriel, yeah. What is the domain?
loveandadventures.com. We were, my wife and I, 2 years digital nomads, and thank you Corona, we stopped, and when we stopped, we started to rent an apartment, and then all the I'm cooking all the time, but baking is something new. So I started to bake, and then I said, okay, I made the hummus, and I need pitot. So let's bake pitot. So when you will come, you will have a hummus dish, pita bread, and in the end, hot water, small cup.
Yeah. Exactly. Great. That sounds awesome.
Maybe you can analyze. Do you have any tools that you can suggest that they are good for analyzing steps in terms of SEO that you can implement afterwards to Yoast? Like learning, there's one I know, a Chrome extension called SEO Meta in 1 click. It gives you the H's, if there are H's in the page or not, and stuff like that.
Right, but all that stuff is already available in the Yoast SEO analysis. It will just tell you what to do on a content level. So that is on the content level. It's really we're looking at the Love and Adventure site.
Yeah. Maybe we can give input on this current website. I see you produce a lot of content, Gabriel.
Yeah, try to.
There are recipes here. What is the main goal of this website?
It's to share our adventures that we go all over the world, and that you can walk from anywhere. And also lately, the dish section came in place. I started to bake. After we went inside the house, the apartment. I started to bake, And cooking is like all my life, I think. As much as I know myself.
No,
Nice.
Elementor is the main goal of your life. Cooking is like
Yeah,
So,
cooking is
but
like
probably this website is also built in Elementor, no?
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's Elementor, and of course Yoast is over there. It's like after I'm installing Elementor, the next plugin is Yoast, and I'm starting to think about the next plugins that I need.
How can we
exactly.
find the Q&A plugin? How is it called? Is it on
The
the
FAQ?
WordPress repository? Yeah.
So the FAQ block, but it's not available yet in Elementor. It's available in the block editor. That is available in Yoast SEO. You can just install Yoast SEO and you have the block.
Actually, if you edit the posts in Gutenberg, you'll see it there.
Yeah, exactly. It's there.
Okay.
So, but one of the future integrations that we want to build for Elementor is probably also to bring those blocks to Elementor elements, so you can actually use them in Elementor Page Builder.
Is there a roadmap, like a destination of a date that should be out in?
There's no public one, so we generally don't tell
no, it's okay.
tell dates because it's a bad idea. But
yeah,
but definitely something that we're looking at and that we want to explore further in the new year. So it's been like, it's clear that Elementor has had great success, and there's a lot of people using it today. So it's important. Like, our mission has always been SEO for everyone. This means that we have to be in Elementor because, you know, there's just a ton of people using it, and we need to make sure that SEO is available for them as well. So that's important.
Manny, there's a question in the group. Maybe you can paste it on the live. Tom asking, for an e-commerce store, what keyword should we use for each product? Let's say the store is fashion, so the keyword should be fashion or clothes. Or for a specific product, it should be the name / style of the dress.
I'll copy the question to the screen. Just a second.
Yeah.
But I think stores are problematic because you can't actually give a lot of text on a product. Like it's
no, there is yeah, there's a very common question, and there of course there is not a tailored answer for it, but I can say something general about it, because for every website, when you start optimizing, you really need to think about, what is my important content, what are my landing pages that you want to rank high in Google. And depending, like if it's a big store or a small store, you make different choices. So for instance, on a blog, we say you need to write cornerstone content. So that basically, when we have a blog about SEO, we write the ultimate guide to structured data, for instance, and that's a big article with everything about structured data. Then we write smaller articles about structured data, for instance, about, I don't know, recipe schema, and we link to that big article. Our landing page is the ultimate guide. The other articles are basically the long tail, and for the smaller topics, they could be landing pages as well. Well, in an e-commerce store, you have to make a decision. Do I want my products to be the landing pages? If you have a lot of products, this is generally not the first thing you do, because yeah, what you see often, like for instance, let's say you sell shoes or something, and you have like one particular type of shoe in 5 different colors, in 10 different sizes, and most of them have all like a unique URL, and each of them it's impossible to make each of those rank. So basically what you do in those cases is generally you focus more on category pages. So it could be a brand, or it could be a particular type of shoe, for instance, hiking shoe or something like that. and you make sure you have a really good landing page where you sort of introduce the brand, and you have content about the brand, and then you have an archive of all of the products that you offer of that brand. So that could be a strategy for a really big store. In a really small store where you have 10 products, then you make sure you put enough content for each product. So this is the kind of way you have to think about it. What is my important page?
Your approach is interesting, and it makes me to ask you questions. What do you think about letting Google scan archive pages? You said categories. You said taking a category page as a strategy. What do you think? I heard a lot of experts, SEO experts in Israel, talking against letting Google scan like index archive pages.
Yeah, it's always a question. Like you have a lot of different types of archives. So for instance, you have a data archive, which is it's really not so meaningful, and it's like an endless archive. So it could be a strategy, and it could often be recommended to disable indexing of those archives. But mostly when you look at term archives, so the taxonomy archives, like a category or maybe a brand or this kind of stuff, we would probably always argue that you should have those indexed,
because it helps people like using in terms of user experience, in terms of using your website.
Exactly, but there are many cases in which you want to optimize archives. What you often see in websites that are really well optimized is that the first page of an archive contains a lot of content. And then when you click to the next page, then the content is out, and you just have the archive. So that kind of stuff really works well. And then you have some SEOs that say, well, then maybe you can no index the other pages.
You gave us an idea to ask Elementor to add the ability to make the first page with content and the second page without.
It's definitely something. No, this has been a problem for most CMSs, and it will be great. It will be a great addition, and it's also something that we would look at for full site editing in WordPress core.
We will definitely give the input to Elementor.
So, but this is the kind of stuff that you think about generally, and I think we stopped offering this option to no index the next pages of an archive, because we figured out that it's really not that costly in terms of indexability, but maybe depending a little bit. There generally for a normal WordPress web shop or a regular WooCommerce store, it really doesn't matter. If you have like a huge store like eBay, maybe then there is some
problem.
Yeah, because then you have like you're indexing so much. Like the reason to do it might not even be indexability. It might even just be your own server cost, because all of these bots are constantly taking your electricity, But this is very different reason. Like, so that when you get to this kind of complex big sites, then you have different problems. But part of the problem that we see in all of the SEO talk is that SEO use cases that maybe only exist for 1%, maybe even less of the sites, they become sort of a general advice when it's really not that beneficial.
There's another legend, another like a chisbat, something that people tell to one another.
An urban legend,
that pages are indexed better than posts. Do you have something to say about that?
There's really no reason why that should be the case. There's definitely no reason. if you look at from the perspective of the search engine, any page from the perspective of a search engine is just an indexable object. And the way that they approach content is mostly like they look at the content itself, and they look at how do you say this? The links. So basically, how is the structure of the site? They built an entire graph of pages, and if it's a post or a page, it doesn't really matter. But of course, the search engine knows if it's like a news article, it's more timely content or not. So, but I think most of our cornerstone landing pages, they are doing really well in Google, and they are all posts. But one thing maybe to say about it is that when you have a post has a publication date. If you have sort of a blog, then you need to update your content, because if the publication date is still 2017 and nothing in the content has changed since then it becomes dated. And I can imagine, but I'm not sure, but I can imagine that a page might date a little bit slower because the content on it is generally less timely. But that's the only thing I can imagine. If you just update your content and you make sure that you check a post every once in a while, if it's relevant for you, relevant landing page, you check it every once in a while, you update a little bit, you rewrite some parts, you make sure everything is up to date to the latest standard, maybe you update a link, and then you update the publication dates, then it will be ranking really well.
Yes, thank you.
Nice.
Let's see.
There's a question.
For Michal. It's more general question, but I think maybe we'll refer it. I'll put it here. Just a second. This is the question. She asks if a homepage on itself can help us rank on Google. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll make the question wider. What do you think about one pages?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. I know that generally the homepage is like, so yeah. It's actually two questions, because a lot of people think that they should really optimize their homepage, which is almost never the case. So if you have a site with multiple pages, it's almost never the homepage that should rank, because a search engine is looking for answers to questions, and the homepage is never. It's always general. It's never like the homepage should rank for the brand name. If you search Yoast, then probably Google will send you to Yoast.com. But that's about the only question I can ask Google that will give me the homepage. All of the other stuff, you will go to a landing page that is sort of dedicated to the topic. So that, I think, answers the first question. The second question is, what do you think about single pages? So the homepage is important. Just to get back to the homepage for a second, it is important, but it's more important for the user that is trying to get sort of that is visiting Yoast.com or whatever, Elementor.com, and they just want to get a good idea of what there is to buy there or to sell there or whatever, what they can consume there. So it has to be sort of a gateway, and it has to be really clear, and the UX should be really good, and all that stuff is important for users. It's just generally it's not the most important landing page of your site. Single pages, yeah, they can work. I'm thinking about examples. Like, for instance, Yoast is also used on most of the Disney sites. So whenever they have a new movie like Star Wars, they do a website for each movie, basically. And sometimes these movies can also be single pages. I think it works when the site has a single topic. So the thing that I just said about, well, the homepage is it works if you search for the brand. Let's say we got the Elementor Israel yearly meetup.com or something like that. It's this one topic that I search for with this one page that has all the information on it. That could work. But as soon as it's broader and you have more information and there's more topics to cover, then probably I wouldn't go for that. I would have dedicated content.
But if it's a sort of a event type or something specific, until it will be indexed in Google, it could be all irrelevant. Like if it's like an event, until the event comes, it's already in.
It depends really. Like if you like, for instance, well, I'm not sure if StarWars.com is a good example because probably there's a lot of content there. But
yeah,
let's say it was a single page. You can be sure that a lot of news articles will link to that, and then it will be very fast in Google. So if there's an press forward, for instance, and there's mention of that in some news articles and on some forums and all that stuff, then it could be really fast, really clear to Google that this is the site about press forward. It's about this event, and people are searching for press forward or WordPress conference Israel. They might get there. I think it mostly will work.
Unfortunately, now with COVID, press forwards is like
can be only online.
Not happening right now.
Yeah, too bad.
Physically, no, it can happen online, but it's much different to be online and to be on spot. It's two different things.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's one thing I would love to mention also for your audience. One big really nice advantage you get with Yoast SEO Premium is that you get unlimited access to our Yoast Academy, where we have a ton of, like, because I'm getting all of these SEO questions here in the meeting, and I found that people really want to learn about how they can best approach this stuff. We have courses on content SEO and link building and site structure and structured data, and everything is there that you need to know to create a great website, and you get it for free with Yoast SEO Premium. So it's definitely also something to know and consider.
This leads me to another question. If you start to work with the Hebrew language, when the academy will be in Hebrew?
That's a good question. We have no current plans to translate the academy into a lot of languages. It's just a very costly process. But at some point we might do. We have a lot of movies there, so basically we have our own movie studio at the office, and we are constantly recording educational material there to explain. That will always be in English, but maybe we can add some Hebrew subtitles at a certain point.
By the way, I know Yoast and Yoast employees are very involved with the WordPress community. But are there Yoast communities out there?
And there are the Yoast communities or WordPress communities.
Yeah. No, I'm asking about if you have communities around your brand.
This is something that we saw with with Elementor, that they are doing a really good job. Excuse me.
Maybe Israel will be the first one.
Yeah, you can totally feel free to do that. No, but we are not aware. Like there is, I think there is an informal Yoast SEO questions group on Facebook. We haven't been traditionally really active in there, but it's something that we've been thinking about for a long time, and we might do it. But at the moment there isn't an active Yoast community. We have a community of translators and plugin authors who integrate with us, and we have like within our own Slack organization, I think we have like 50 different plugin authors and theme authors, and there's people from Elementor in there as well. Like, but that's more of a community of builders, makers who create the ecosystem together. But we still lacking a real user community. We have our customer support, we have our comment sections in our website, we have our forums on WordPress.org, but that's mainly we have our social channels, but that's mainly how we interact with our users until this point.
Okay.
So, is there any more questions?
I think we just answered everything that people asked.
Great.
And thank you very, very, very much, Omar, for your time.
Thank you very much.
I think is it the first time that you're on a live video in Israel?
Definitely in Israel, yeah. It's really, really fun. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Now we have to establish the second time.
No, I will be happy. I will be happy to return and talk more some other time. Absolutely.
And let us know when you come visit us physically.
To eat hummus, it's Gabriel's.
אני רציתי לבקר את הארץ הרבה פעמים השנה, אבל זה לא היה אפשרי בגלל קוביד. זה ממש בסה, אז בגלל אח שלי, הוא עכשיו גם גר בארץ, הוא גם נולד בהולנד, אבל הוא עכשיו... לפני שנה הוא עבר לארץ, והוא עכשיו גר ביחד כבר עם חברה שלו, בעמק ישראל. אני לא יכול לבקר אותו.
I'm originally from there.
באמת?
I grown in מושב, גדלתי במושב.
באמת? הוא עכשיו גר בבית לחם הגלילית.
כן, ליד קריית טבעון.
כן, נכון.
מקום יפה.
מאוד יפה, כן.
So it's very close to me. It's like 15 minutes drive.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I definitely want to visit Israel. And normally I'm there like 2 times a year at least. Yeah.
So let us know when you're gonna come next time. We will make black coffee with the Hawaiians and the hummus.
Great, I love it.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Have a great weekend and happy Hanukkah.
We're waiting for the updates in Elementor.
Yeah, I will let you know when they're coming. Tov, Chag Sameach and thank you.
Chag Sameach.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye. Ciao.